Hi, welcome back to Maths Learning Groups. Now today we are going to look at another question in SA1 Nanhua Primary School paper. So it's a 2019 paper. So in this lesson we are going to look at the methods, right? The methods on how we can solve different kinds of problems. So what kind of methods do we have out there, or what your school teacher has taught you? What are the methods that are available? Assumption method, guess and check. You have methods like set method, group method, grouping, right? Or you call it the set method. You also have methods like what else? Listing, systematic listing, model drawing, and there are some others as well. So there are different kinds of methods that your school teacher will have taught you already, but there will be also some other methods that your school teacher may not have taught you. So that's where when you go to other centers to learn your lesson, that's where you come across the more methods, right? More methods that you can actually use to solve more problems. Okay, so in this question, which is a very simple question, so we are going to think about the methods that we can use to solve this problem. So let's look at the primary 6 problem, which is in Nanhua, SA1 Nanhua 2019. And if you look at this question, what is the method you can use? Okay, so Mr. Ng bought 208 t-shirts and shorts altogether. He paid a total of $3,050. Alright, so let me just highlight. And each t-shirt costs $14 and each pair of shorts costs $20. So how many t-shirts did Mr. Ng buy and how many pairs of shorts did Mr. Ng buy? Now, I think many of you will have thought about the method assumption, right? So you will have known that you can use the assumption method. But the problem is, do you know how to do assumption? Do you know how to use the method? So some students, they know the method, but they can't use the method. Then what do you do if you forget how to use the assumption method? Then the other method that you want to think about is guess and check, right? Guess and check is what you have learned in school. But in this lesson, I'm not going to show you guess and check, because guess and check is actually Ms. Tong think that is more for lower primary. Okay, but for upper primary, you should be doing assumption method. You need to know your assumption method. And there is also another backup, which I will show you the backup later. But let's look at how we do the assumption method. So when you do the assumption method, it is actually very fast compared to guess and check. Especially when you have such a big number, there's a big total. So when you do guess and check, there's more time taken to guess the answer correctly. So how to do assumption method? You need to assume. If you look at part A, how many t-shirts did Mr. Ng buy? So you assume the opposite of what the question asks you. So assume all the clothings, right? All the clothings are shorts. Okay, shorts. Okay. So what is all? All is referring to the total. Which total is that? Is it the 208 or is it the $3,050? So you need to know correctly what is the total that you are looking at. You are looking at the total number of clothes, which is the 208 clothings. So you assume all these clothings are shorts. And how much will be all the shorts? So one short costs $20. So you times $20 each. You take 208 and you times 20. And you will get $4,160. Okay, that is the wrong total, right? Your assumption. Okay, now if you remember my early lesson, right? One of the earlier lessons which I taught you on how to do assumption, you will need to use a leaf. There's a leaf. Okay, a leaf that helps you to understand how to use the method more efficiently. Alright, sometimes you may forget how to do, but the leaf will tell you what to do next. Like, okay, let me just draw the leaf. Okay, it's like a HDB flat. So what is the correct total? The correct total is $3,050. So I'm going to put the correct total over here, and the wrong total is bigger, so I will put it on top, which is $4,160. So you are at the wrong total, or the wrong level, wrong floor. So you will need to go down to the correct total. So what's the correct total? How many floors must you go down? Right, from the wrong level to the correct level, that's where you find the gap. Okay, your teacher will have taught you what is the gap. The gap means the difference. So you find the difference between $4,160 and you minus $3,050 and you will get the gap. So 4,160 minus 3,050 and the gap will be $1,110. So you will need to come down 1,110 levels in order to go to the correct floor. Okay, now, alright, so if you have to go down, alright, then how do we go down? Right, press a button, and then the leaf will go down when you press the button, right? Okay, so is it true that all are shorts? It's not true, right? so there'll be some shirts. So what do? You have to replace some shorts with shirts. Alright, so you need to ask a question. If I replace a short with a shirt, then does Mr. Ng pay more money or pay less money? You don't really have to think. Alright, like what Mr. Ng told you earlier on, I don't like to think. Right, I try not to think so much. So I will use the method to help me to do less thinking. So the leaf is coming down. When the leaf is coming down, if I replace a short with a shirt, the leaf is coming down, so I'm paying lesser money. Because as you go down, your money get lesser. So you are paying lesser money. Alright, then the question is, how much less money? How much lesser do you pay? So again, I don't like to think. So I will have a travelator. Okay, a travelator. So when you do assumption method, you may want to think about the leaf and the travelator. So what do you put on the travelator? You have one t-shirt, right? One t-shirt is $14. Okay, so let me just put down, this is one t-shirt, that will be $14. And then one pair of shorts will be $20. Okay, so let me just put down shorts, one pair of shorts, and that will be $20. Okay, now you assume all are shorts, so which means that you are over here. Okay, you're over here. Okay, so you replace a shorts with a shirt, so you move backwards because you're going to replace a short with a shirt. So how much do you move back? You move back $6. Right, when you move back it's minus. Okay, minus $6. So 20 minus 6 becomes $14. Then you go back to the leaf, and what do you put on the leaf? So every time you press the button, the leaf will come down $6 or come down 6 floors. So every time you replace a short with a shirt, then what happens? Mr. Ng paid $6 lesser. So how many times must you press the leaf button to go to the correct floor? So you take the gap, okay, the gap, which is $1,110, and then you divide by 6. And how many times must you replace? So you divide by 6, you have to replace 185 shorts with 185 t-shirts. So how many t-shirts did Mr. Ng buy? 185. Okay, so that's how you do the assumption method, which is very fast if you understand the leaf and the travelator. Now this question is considered quite simple, but there will be some questions that are very hard, or the harder, we call it the harder assumption problems, and then you will need to have the leaf and the travelator because they will be really useful to help you to do those harder problems. Okay, then how many pairs of shorts did Mr. Ng buy? So if they are all together 208 clothings, and you minus the t-shirts, which is 185 t-shirts, and that will give you how many shorts? So that will give you 23 shorts, and your answer will be 23. So that's your full marks for your problem, right, for this question. So do I want to do guess and check? Try not to do guess and check because there's more time taken. But if you can do assumption method, you understand the assumption method, you find that you can do faster. Alright? But what happens in the exam if you forget how to do assumption method? Then the backup. Okay, what's the backup? Okay, now the backup will be this. The backup. Now the backup will be to use something called 3 rows get the answer. Okay, so am I using guess and check? I am not using guess and check. I'm using something else. I'm using a method called 3 rows get the answer, which I taught my students as well, and you also have seen it before. And this method is quite commonly found in pattern problems. Right? In pattern problem, find a pattern, you will see something very similar. Right? 3 rows get the answer to find your pattern problem. Okay, now, so how do we use this method? Something similar to guess and check, you still have to label. So you label how many t-shirts, and how much is all the t-shirts, and how many shorts, and how much is all the shorts. And there are 2 important numbers that you must have, 2 important columns. The first important column is your total number of clothings. Okay, total number, which is 208. Okay, hang on for a while. So 208. Okay, so and then let me just put 208. Okay, 208. And then there's another important number, which is the total money. That will be 3,050. So let's put down 3,050. Okay, now do you want to put the tick and the cross? You can if you want, the tick and the cross. But over here we don't need to do that. Okay, now 3 rows get the answer. So you just have to cut 3 rows. Okay, 3 rows. Okay, now, the entire method, what is the whole objective? What is the whole idea about this table method? Is to find a pattern. Look for a pattern and then use the pattern to get the answer. And you can do the same thing in your pattern problems. Okay, so what is special about this method? You start with one. Okay, one t-shirt or one shorts. So if there's one t-shirt, then how many shorts will that be? So you take 208 minus 1, that will give you 207 shorts. And how much is one t-shirt? So one t-shirt will be 14, right? $14. And 207 shorts will be you times 20. That will give you 4140. And you plus the money together, that will give you the total cost, which is $4,154, which is the wrong total. Okay, what's the second row? Now, you start with one t-shirt, so the second row, you have two t-shirts. And total is still 208, you minus 2, you will get 206 pairs of shorts. So how much is two t-shirts? So 14 times 2, that will be $28. And how much is 206 shorts? So 206 times 20. And you will get $4,120. And plus the $28, and you will get the total cost, which is $4,148. Okay, so third row must get the answer already. If you still can't get the answer, then there's something wrong with your numbers. Now, why do you have one t-shirt and then two t-shirts? It is to find a pattern, right? Find a pattern. If you increase one t-shirt, then how much lesser is that? How much lesser do you get? You take 4154 minus 4148, and you will get $6 lesser. Okay, so let's put down minus $6. So every time you increase one t-shirt, Mr. Ng paid $6 lesser. Okay, all right. Okay, so what do we do? So the last row must get the answer. So you jump to the correct total, which is 3,050. So how much lesser is that? You take 4148 minus 3,050, and that will be $1,098 lesser. So if that is $1,098 lesser, then how many more t-shirts must you increase? So what do? You take 1,098 and you divide by 6. Okay? And you will get 183 more t-shirts. So you have to increase by 183 t-shirts. And then how many t-shirts will there be in the third row? There will be 185 t-shirts already. Okay, and then how many shorts will there be? So there are total 208 clothings. You minus 185, and you will get 23 shorts, which is what you saw, the same answer as you saw just now. And how do you double check? Can you double check? Yes, you can double check. So you take 185 t-shirts, and you multiply by 14, and you will get $2,590. And how much is 23 shorts? You take 23 times 20, and you will get $460. And if you plus them together, would you get the correct total? Will you get this total money? Yes, you get this total money. So your third row is correct. So that's how you use the 3 rows get the answer to solve the problem. So what is the whole idea about this lesson? Now the whole idea about this lesson, or the point of me trying to tell you this lesson, is to know your methods, right? Like many of you have learned assumption method, but after teaching many students, usually you know that there's something called assumption method, but you don't know how to use, or you forget how to use. So you will need to revise. You will need to know how to use assumption method, which is very important, because otherwise you will have to do guess and check. But guess and check takes a long time, especially when you calculate wrongly, then you find that you get the wrong answer. So guess and check is not very suitable, even though it is a method. It is your last resort. So every time you can't solve a problem, the last method that you need to think about is guess and check. But if there's a better way, right? What is the better way? The better way is your 3 rows get the answer. If you forget how to do assumption, then you think about this method. Okay, but my advice is you have to know how to do assumption. You have to revise, you have to learn how to use assumption method. Some schools they teach assumption method, other schools they don't teach. But I will encourage you I will encourage you to revise, to learn how to do assumption method so that you can do faster, and then you have more time to solve the other problems. Otherwise you'll be spending a lot of time to do guess and check. Okay, alright, so we come to the end of this lesson. So stay tuned to the up and coming lessons. So we will continue to look at different kinds of paper 2 problems and what are the methods that are available that we can use to solve the problem. So there will never be a fixed, there will always be at least more than one way to solve the same problem. So which means that you don't give up. When you solve a problem, you don't have to rely on your own brain power, like some of the students, unless you're very good. But if you're not very good in math, then you don't need to think so hard, because the methods are here to help you. So you just have to learn the methods and then learn how to apply them. Alright, so I'll see you in the next lesson, and and then we will continue with some more methods that you can use. Alright, so see you in the next lesson. Goodbye.